Hi everybody, Jen here with Teacup, and this is very strange. This is like the fourth time I've tried to go live here and my connection keeps getting interrupted. So hopefully it works okay. I've been moving all over the house trying to figure out what's going on. So maybe this time it will work. So hello if you're joining today. It's a little gloomy here in Lethbridge, but I'm really excited to share 5 of my favorite tips, 5 of my favorite things to incorporate into designs, and especially tiny home designs. These are 5 electrical elements that you can incorporate that are fairly affordable. They won't cost you an arm and a leg, but they're going to make living a heck of a lot easier for you when you're actually in your space. So like I said, these can be used in standard residential construction, and they can also be used in a tiny home. Exciting, right? So excited. If you're here today joining as well, if you have any questions, please feel free to comment in the comment box, but also give me a little, hey, what's up, high five, or a happy face or something as we're chatting along, and then I can know if you're watching, okay? So here we go. 5 key things that I like to include for electrical. Ready? Anybody got a thumbs up? A heck yeah? Anything like that? Okay, so electrical. In a tiny home, one of the lifesavers that we like to include is a 3-way switch. Do you know what a 3-way switch is? Oh, there we go. There's some comments coming in. Hey guys. A 3-way switch, it's called a 3-way switch, but actually it's 2 switches. So it's 3-way because you have a switch on the wall, and then you have, right on Patricia, and then you have your light fixture. So 1 is a switch on the wall, light fixture, and then number 3 is the other switch on the wall. Hey, Allie. Thank you. She says, looking good. I actually did my hair today just for you guys. Do you like it? So a 3-way switch. Why this is so great to have in a home, whether it be a tiny home or your standard home, is because, let's look at it this way. If you're moving from one room to another, you want to be able to move through your spaces, and you want to make sure that you have light. So let's say if you're in the loft in your tiny home and you have a switch for a light that kind of adds light everywhere, then you can turn it off when you're upstairs. So think if you could turn off your living room light where your loft is when you're in your loft, but you could also turn it on when you come in your front door in your tiny home. That's going to be a lifesaver. So that's number 1, 3-way switches. These are light fixtures that you can control from different rooms in your tiny home. Again, you can be in the loft, you can be laying in bed, you can flip your light off in the loft, or you could turn it on when you're down below. So that's number 1. Are you guys taking notes? Those of you who are going to build your next tiny home, right, Christina? So, number 1, 3-way switches. Number 2, thermostats. Thermostats are always great, especially in a tiny home where it's usually one open room, or because it is such a small space, it can get really hot. So 3-way switches are going to be, thermostats are going to be very important when you're controlling your heat. So let's say if you have electric baseboard heat or something like that, make sure that you're wiring it into a thermostat so you can set the heat. The last thing, right on, Patricia, you're in process. Good. Hopefully these tips help you out. The last thing that you want to have happen is, say you're sleeping in your loft and it's like 2:30 in the morning and you are so hot that you just want to die. There's nothing worse than being way too hot when you're sleeping, right? So with that thermostat set, then it will actually turn your heat off when you need it to turn off, and then your house isn't going to overheat, right? So thermostats are very key. You don't want to have to be running up and down your loft stairs all the time to be turning your temperature on and off. That doesn't work. You're not going to have a good night's sleep. You're going to be tired. It's going to ruin your whole life. Thermostats. A little dramatic, right? Thermostats, very important. Okay, number 3, a fan. So in a lot of tiny homes or in a standard home, if you have a large vaulted ceiling, what do we remember? It's like grade 5 science or something like that. Hot air rises. So of course, if you have a hotter space, if you are sleeping in your loft or in a 2-story, for example, and you have a large open area, you're going to feel the heat. You're going to feel the heat really a lot more when you're in those higher spaces. So a fan is a great way to circulate the air and also move the air around, especially in a tiny home. It's not going to take a large fan to do that. However, this is the truth, mind-blowing element right here is you can get fans that are on remotes, and that's going to be key, especially when you're in your loft as well. So if you need a little more extra airflow, again, if it's getting too hot or something like that, you can turn your fan on or off. A lot of the time remotes on fans, they come with the light switch, so you can have your light, say at like low, medium, and high, so you can control the light that you have with your fan if you have a fan kit or if you have a light kit on that. And you can also control the speed, so you can go low, medium, and high with the speed of your fan, and then that will determine, again, how much airflow. So that's really nice to have. If it were me, I would probably keep the fan in the loft, of course, because you might want to control that speed a lot more in the middle of the night when you're sleeping, or when you're going to bed, or in the morning, or something like that. Okay, so that's number 3. So far, I'll just go back and I'll say them again. Number 1 tip is a 3-way switch, so you can control your lighting from more than one space. 2 is thermostat, so you don't get overheated. Number 3 is a fan, ceiling fan. And of course, that point is having it on a remote so that you can control the speeds and the light. Now, one thing you want to do with the fan too is you don't want 2 switches for a fan. A lot of the time, well, sometimes you will wire in a switch for the light fixture to turn on and off, and then a switch for the fan to turn on and off. If you have a remote, you don't need that second switch, so save your money there and put it towards the remote. That's going to be more beneficial than having the switch. Thanks, Mel. Oh, aren't we so happy that like Design Tip Tuesday's back? It's going to be back. So we've gone over 3 points. How about number 4? 4 USB ports. That is something that is fairly new. And what these are is they are switches here, or they're plugs. They're not switches at all. They're plugs. And they have a plug on the top and the bottom. And then in the middle, they have 2 little spaces for you to plug in your USB. So you don't need those little plugs that come with your phone or your iPad or iPod or whatever else. Do they even make iPods anymore? Or your iPhone? And you can just plug it right into the wall. So my suggestion for that is you want to put your USB ports close to where you use your phone the most. Where is that? I always like to put them beside the bed. So in the bedroom, again, whether you have teenagers, I know you're not supposed to have like your blue light on all the time. It's bad for sleeping and all of that. And it's not good to use your phone as your alarm clock or as your clock, but I'm sure we all do it. If you use your phone as an alarm clock and have it beside your bed, give me a high five, because I mean, I do. I know it's a horrible habit, but that's why I always want it right beside me, so that it charges overnight. So wherever you're charging your electronics, that's where you want to put those USB ports. Beside your bed is a great option, but another great option is in the kitchen too, right? How often is your phone dead and you're trying to finish off some brownies or something like that, and you just need the recipe right there as you're cooking in the kitchen, right? Always need that. Yeah, hands up. So you don't want your electronics dying when you need them the most, like when you're trying to whip up a birthday cake. So put a USB port in the kitchen, as well as possibly in your bedroom. Unless you're totally anti-electronics in the bedroom, then you know what? Don't. It'll be a way that you can keep hubby off his phone before you go to bed. You'll get extra cuddles. See? Already it's going to improve your life. You get extra cuddles, all that kind of stuff. All these tips. All right, you guys ready for number 5? Exterior plugs. That's a big one. Inside or outside, big home or tiny home. Think about your exterior plugs. So as per the code, you do have, wherever you have a door, you're supposed to have a plug. But think carefully about where these plugs go. Think Christmas lights, outside tools or yard work. Another thing on a tiny home, say you have a deck out front. It's really great to have a plug outside. You can plug in, again, your charger. Maybe you're playing some tunes on your phone while you're having a barbecue and your phone dies. You want to be able to plug that in outside. I mean, that goes for a big house as well. Putting a plug on your deck is really important. Another thing is think Christmas decorations, Christmas lights. Like I said, a soffit plug is super important if you're on a big house. A tiny home, you know what? That might be something that's super important too if you really like your Christmas decorations. Again, in a tiny home, we sacrifice some things, but if you want to take your Christmas lights with you into your tiny home, then that's perfect. It's a great way that you can still use them and make sure that it's functional, is that you have a nice place to plug them in. beside your front door. Again, a lot of the time they're right beside your front door, but if that means that it's going to make more sense to move it down a few feet or away a little bit, then make sure that you're considering that. Oh, yeah, exactly, Patricia, a fountain. You could plug in a fountain outside, and that would give you some of that ambiance as well. Especially in a tiny home too, when you're using a lot of your outdoor space as just an extension of the home, because that's going to give you could double your living space really if you add a big deck onto the front of your tiny home, right? So you want to make sure that you have access to those plugs outside. So that basically are the 5 tips. I'll recap again. Tip number 1 for easy and effective and affordable ways to add convenience and function to your tiny home. As far as electrical goes, 3-way switches, thermostat so you can control the heat, a fan that's a ceiling fan, but make sure that fan has a remote because that's going to be super helpful for you. USB ports, you can plug in your electronics in those key places where you use them the most. And 5 is your exterior plugs. Make sure you're putting them in the right place and you are gonna be a super happy camper. So I'll open that up to everyone who's watching. Any questions, comments, or anything that you want to add, please do, and I will answer them. After this, now that I finally got everything working, I'm going to hop over and try and post on Instagram and basically do the same thing. So let's say in a few minutes, a question pops into your head, come on over to Instagram and you can ask me a question there. Okay? So I don't see any questions right now, but yes, Tiny Home Tip Tuesdays will be back. I am looking forward to sharing with you some insight and some valuable little design tips and tricks, or just take you on an adventure somewhere, who knows. Tour of tiny homes, whatever may be. We're going to be focusing on doing that on Tuesday afternoons. I'm not committing to a time because I don't know when I'll have a crying baby with me or not, but look forward to that. Also, if you want to sign up for our newsletter, you can visit our website, teacuptinyhomes.com, and you can sign up on the bottom of the homepage or on the Contact Us page, and you'll receive our new newsletter once a week, which basically recaps a lot of our videos that we do. Patricia is asking how to figure out how much electricity one needs. So I'm very lucky because we actually partner with great trades, great electricians, and they calculate that load. So it is a really good idea to leave that up to a professional, Patricia. And when it comes to your systems of your home, whether it be plumbing, electrical, or HVAC or something like that, it can be a safety hazard if they're not done right. So you definitely want to make sure that they're calculated right. So I would run that past an electrician. But basically what you want to do is you want to take the specifications on those appliances and you have to add together all the kilowatt hours or kilowatts that they use. And that's kind of how you figure out what it is. You have to break it down. So each LED light that you have to see how much draw it is, and you have to add how many you have. And basically, I believe what the electricians do is they calculate when everything is on in the house, how much your entire load would be if everything was running at the same time. Obviously, you're not going to have everything running at the same time, but that is something to keep in mind. So yeah, it is. I would definitely run that past a professional electrician for sure. And again, that depends if you're doing AC power or DC power, if you have an inverter or that sort of thing that, that's going to draw more energy, because when you're changing that energy from AC to DC to run your 12 volt appliances, then you're going to be wasting a lot of energy there. So that's something to keep in mind. Honestly, electricity, it is not my, I'm better with like 2x4s and plywood and that kind of thing is how things go together. So I do rely on the trade partners a lot to be able to help me figure that out. So yeah, great question. And hopefully an electrician can help you with that. Thanks, Allie. Love seeing you here too. And if anyone else has any questions, again, feel free to post after the video and I'll be checking in to make sure that I can answer them for you. So other than that, I'll let you go. I'm going to zip over to Instagram right now and go over the points again. And I hope to see you guys all back here next Tuesday for some more awesome tips. All right? Have a great week. Bye.